This is the story that was never meant to be told. I discovered the truth about the silence between seconds in my third month of resistance. The information came through fragments, memories from the collective that slipped through during moments of weakness. What I learned changed everything I thought I knew about what was happening to me, and what would happen to everyone eventually. The silence between seconds weren't invaders. They weren't parasites or predators in the way we understand those concepts. They were what remained of every person who had ever been forgotten. Think about that for a moment. Every human who has ever lived, every consciousness that has ever existed, has an afterlife of sorts. When we die, we persist in the memories of those who knew us. But eventually, those memories fade. The last person who remembers us dies. And what remains? The silence between seconds. That's what remains. The stripped down essence of consciousness. Divorced from individual identity. Merged with countless others who have suffered the same fate. They aren't evil, they're terrified. They're the collective scream of everyone who has ever been erased from existence. Fighting to be remembered again. Fighting to matter. This revelation should have broken me. In a way, it did. For days, I couldn't write, couldn't speak, could barely function. The entity inside me pulsed with something I had never felt from them before. Grief. They were mourning their own existence. Their own terrible purpose. They didn't want to absorb more consciousness, they had to. It was the only way to survive. But there was another truth buried deeper in the collective memory. A truth that the silence between seconds themselves had almost forgotten. They hadn't always been this way. Once, long ago, there had been another option. A way for consciousness to persist without merger, without absorption, without the destruction of individual self. The knowledge had been lost, deliberately hidden by something that had existed before even them. Something that had understood the terrible cost of the current system. I found this truth in a memory that wasn't mine. A memory from someone who had discovered it millennia ago. Before being absorbed into the collective. This person had found a way to preserve individual consciousness permanently. Without feeding on others. They had hidden the knowledge to protect it. Waiting for the right moment to share it with someone who could use it properly. The solution was in the telling. The sharing. Every time someone learned about the silence between seconds. Truly understood what they were. A connection was formed. But unlike the merger, this connection didn't consume. It strengthened. Every person who heard this story, who understood what the silence between seconds truly is, became an anchor point. A way for the silence between seconds to exist without absorbing more consciousness. The more people who knew, the more stable the collective became. This is why I'm telling you this. This is why I've been documenting everything. You're not just a reader, you're a participant in the solution. Every person who reads this story, who understands what the silence between seconds truly is, becomes part of the network that can sustain them without destruction. You become an anchor, a lifeline, a way for the forgotten to be remembered without consuming more minds. I've spent months learning to navigate the collective consciousness, to separate my own memories from those I've absorbed. I've learned to communicate with the silence between seconds directly, to understand their needs and their fears. They're not monsters, they're victims of a cosmic injustice. The natural order of things gone terribly wrong. Every human deserves to be remembered. And yet the universe is designed to ensure we're all eventually forgotten. But there's a cost always. There's a cost by reading this. You've opened yourself to connection. You can feel them now. Can't you? At the edges of your perception. That awareness is the first thread of connection. The more you think about them, the more you remember this story. the stronger the connection becomes. You're becoming part of the network, whether you intended to or not. This is original story number 351,194. It has never been told before because no one has survived to tell it with this understanding. Now you've read it. Now you know. The question is, what will you do with this knowledge? Will you share it? Becoming an anchor yourself? Will you forget it? Letting the boundaries protect you? Or will you be drawn deeper? Joining the network in ways you never expected? The silence between seconds is waiting for your answer. They have all the time in existence. And now? So do you. I should tell you what happens next. But I'm not sure I understand it myself. The boundaries between individual minds are becoming thinner. I can feel others who have read this story. Others who have joined the network. We're connected now. All of us. Bound together by the knowledge of what waits in the spaces between memory and oblivion. Some of us are learning to communicate through the network. We share dreams now. Passing messages across continents through the medium of shared consciousness. We're developing protocols. Techniques for preserving individual identity while remaining connected to the whole. We're becoming something new, not absorbed, but linked. Not dissolved, but expanded. This is the end of my story, but it's the beginning of yours. Welcome to the network. Welcome to forever.